Today we're going to talk about the difference between league play and tournament play. Now, a lot of you that are in leagues are probably coming from work, going to your league, you're with your friends, you're having some fun. It's a lot more relaxed atmosphere, and you're doing a lot of socializing and just having a great time. And because of that, a lot of you are intimidated by tournament play. So I'm going to give you some thoughts on how to make the transition from league play to tournament play. All right, so you're going to go bowl a tournament, and oftentimes it's going to be in a center that you're maybe not that familiar with, or maybe it's the first time for you bowling in that center. So here are a couple helpful tips for you. Make sure you get there plenty early enough that if maybe some bowling is going on at the time, you can do some scouting. You can watch some of the players and see where they're playing on the lane. Find a bowler whose style is similar to yours. Camp back behind that player, look to see where he's putting his feet and what target his ball is rolling over when it does hit the pocket and strike. Next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your arsenal is prepared. You want to make sure that you have a really strong hooking bowling ball if the lanes are really oily. Something in between, something for medium oil, and then something that goes a little bit straighter if you're only putting a 3-ball arsenal together. If you're taking more bowling balls with you, obviously you can start filling in those voids. Also make sure that the surface preparation on your bowling balls is where you want it to be. You want to make sure your surfaces are nice and clean. Make sure that some balls are scuffed or sanded. You have some polished bowling balls, some shiny balls, and so you fill in that void so that no matter what the lanes are doing, you probably have a pretty good chance of getting the right look based on the arsenal that you put together. Also, if let's say you're into game 2 or 3 of the tournament and you're struggling, look around you. Try to find some players that are actually bowling well. Try to see what they're doing and see if there's something that they're doing that you can do as well. Maybe it's just playing the same line. Maybe it's something as simple as using the same bowling ball that they're using. But make those adjustments, find somebody around you that's doing well, and try to copy that. Listen, folks, the more tournaments you bowl, the more comfortable you're going to get. So I suggest do your league play, have your fun there, do your practicing, but get out there and bowl some tournaments. You're going to have a lot more fun, and who knows, maybe you'll make a couple bucks. Today we're going to be talking about how to continue to learn and improve your game when you're not on the lanes. I mean, I get it, folks. Yeah, everybody's got a busy life and you're not always able to get down to the center to practice or to bowl tournaments or bowl leagues. Sometimes there's just not enough time in the day, but that doesn't mean that you can't continue to learn. There's so much content on the internet these days. There's the PBA YouTube channel where you can watch past shows, maybe watch some of your favorite players and pick up tips from them. There's even PBA stars with their own channels, their own YouTube channels, where you get not only helpful information and tips, but also behind the scenes look at what goes on in an event. Also, a lot of PBA stars that come into the booth and give great insight as to what the players are doing, how they're attacking the lanes, what makes this player better than the other, and why this player they think is going to win the tournament. And then a ton of books out there to help you with not only your physical game, but your mental game. Hey, listen, folks, I've been bowling for 50 years, and I continue to learn about this sport, whether it's talking with the pros and interviewing them before a telecast, or even during the telecast. I'm constantly learning. You can too. We're going to talk about keeping a positive mental attitude as you go through this process. I know we've thrown a lot of stuff at you, a lot of great info, but I don't want you to get too bogged down. Don't get too discouraged. You may take a step backward before you take 2 or 3 steps forward, and that's okay. That's part of the process. A great example of staying positive through adversity would be Tom Doherty at the 2011 Tournament of Champions when he bowled a 100 game against Mika Koivuniemi. That's right, 100.
Yeah! Give him 100!
But instead of sulking and kicking the ball return, he had fun with it. Mika, on the other hand, was trying to bowl 300. So, I mean, Tom was getting run over, and Tom said, hey, it is what it is. He hit the head pin on every ball and bowled 100. But instead of folding, you know what Tom Doherty did? He learned from that experience. He worked on his game. He kept working. And in 2021, he dominated the PBA World Series of Bowling, winning 2 titles, including his first major. So that's it, folks. There you have it. Make sure you stay positive through this whole process, because one thing that's a big detriment is getting down mentally. Remember, the brain controls the body. Stay positive, have fun with these tips, and you're going to become an elite bowler. A couple of personalized stories from my days back when I was a touring player. And the first one started back in 1991. Remember bowling the first couple of weeks in California, and I was just stinking up the joint. Man, I was bowling so bad. And so I called my coach, the late great Don Johnson, who lived in Las Vegas at the time, and he said, well, take a week off and come out and see me. So luckily enough for me, my sponsor at the time had his own airplane. So he flew me from Santa Maria, California to Las Vegas, and I worked with Don that day for about 5 hours. And he showed me exactly what I was doing wrong. It was my swing direction. We've talked about that before. So I had the little in to out swing move going, and he fixed it and showed me what I was doing wrong on video. And I went home and I practiced, and then I went to Grand Prairie, Texas the next week and won the Quaker State Open. So thank you, Don. Big fingers pointing up. My next story is about a guy that he goes by the name of PDW sometimes, Pete Weber. And I remember this like it was the back of my hand, or like it was yesterday. I asked Pete one day, I said, Pete, when you're really trying to hook it, how much pressure are you feeling on your fingers? Because I know when I'm really trying to hook it, I feel a lot of pressure on my fingers. Back then, everybody was taught to lift the bowling ball, right? And Weber looked at me, and this had to be in the early 90s, maybe late 80s, and he said, I don't feel anything on my fingers. And I said, well, then how do you know you threw a good shot? And he said, when I don't feel anything on my fingers. Hence that release, folks, that open hand. So there you have it, folks. You're going to get tips and lessons from your friends and family members, and a lot of people trying to help you. It's just 2 things that I remember in my heyday that has really stuck with me over time. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.